Before the season was released, I had a prediction that Explosive Wall Maker with this build was going to be really good. Now that the season is out, the build is just stupid good. So I'll get you guys updated real quick. With this build, your class ability charges insanely quickly. Your grenade, super quick. Your melee also charges really quickly, and it gives your weapon almost 50% increase in damage. You could also heal with the build without using classic restoration, which means in the new season, whenever the artifact mods are gone, you can still heal yourself without needing any of that. So if you think that this build is crazy, stick with me and I'll explain to you guys how I came about it and what it does. There's one thing a lot of people don't know about making builds, and it's the ratio. You want to have a 3-to-2 ratio, meaning 3 mods that make you charge with light or give you elemental wells, and 2 mods that make use of it. That way there's a balance there. You make a lot of wells or you get charged with light a lot, and you can actually put it into use on some other stuff. The thing is, some people usually have like 4 mods that make them charge with light or give them elemental wells, and then there's only one way that you could use it, and you don't even notice whenever they do get charged with light if they're even using that mod or not. For me, I think if you're able to pull off only 2 mods that grant you elemental wells, and then 3 different ways to use it, but you still have a lot of elemental wells all over the place, that's when you're making something super good. So I'm going to start explaining the core of this build. It starts from the synergy between the Sunshot and Explosive Wall Maker, because if you've used Sunshot before, you know it makes a lot of things go boom. Well, you put those two together, a lot of boom, a lot of elemental wells. If you don't know what Sunshot does, basically on kills, whether it's precision or not, it creates an explosion. If that explosion kills something else, it also causes another explosion. Since the explosions do a lot of damage, you can basically clear out a whole room by killing one ad, and you don't even have to kill it with a precision shot like you would have to do with Dragonfly or Firefly. And that's what makes it really good with Explosive Wall Maker, because it's not just making an explosion that makes that spawn wells, it's the fact that your explosion, the damage from that, gets multi-kills. That's what then grants you the elemental wells. So they go really well together and just make the gun and that mod so much better. So hold up one second, what if I told you that that mod, Explosive Wall Maker, also works on grenades? So if you use the Axiom Bolt grenade and you get a kill with double or maybe 3 different enemies, you also get an elemental well to proc. So that means not only can the Sunshot make elemental wells, now your Axiom Bolt grenade can also make wells. Since the grenade is intended to target multiple enemies, you know that every time you throw it, if the enemy is weak enough to die to your grenade, you're gonna make an elemental well. Well, you might be thinking, what if your grenade doesn't actually kill the enemies? We're gonna make all our grenades do 2 times the amount of damage that they're supposed to do. It's almost like we're using Roaring Flames from the Titan and bringing it over to Warlock. For this build, we're gonna be using the exotic Verity's Brow. Let me break down what this does. When you get kills with a weapon that matches the subclass of your character, you get a perk called Death Thrones, which stacks up to 5. When that's at 5, your grenade basically does double damage, like I said before. Since we already discussed how we're going to be making a lot of explosions and getting a lot of kills, you can literally fire 1 bullet from your Sunshot and get to times 5. Every time you kill an enemy after that, it just refreshes the timer of Death Thrones. Whenever you get these kills, the exotic also gives you grenade energy. So with about 5 kills from your weapon, you already have a full grenade back outside of anything else helping us get this grenade back. So your grenades do 2 times more damage, your weapon is exploding stuff, and you're making a lot of elemental wells at the same time. We've talked about the exotics, let's get into a little bit more detail on the subclass and how we're going to set that up. For the class ability, we're going to use Phoenix Dive, because if you guys know the way that I play, I like to stay mobile. I don't want to stay in one spot and drop a rift, drop an empowering, healing, it doesn't matter. I just want to be able to jump in the air, dive downhill myself, get some benefits. For the melee, we'll be using the Incinerator Snap. Basically, it's the new Thanos Snap. I choose this one because I think it looks cool. If you want to use Celestial Fire, go ahead, it's up to you. For the grenade, earlier I called it Axiom Bolts because it reminds me of the Warlock one we used in Void 3.0, but we'll be choosing the Firebolt grenade. It's similar to the way the Axiom Bolt works, except it doesn't track enemies after it. It just shoots one straight line of damage to all the enemies within the radius that it seeks. Moving on to the aspects, we're going to use hit rises and we're also going to use touch of flame. For heat rises, we're using it because while we're airborne and we get kills, we're able to recharge our melee quicker. For touch of flame, we're using it to improve the grenade that we're using, so it's able to seek more targets and do a little bit more damage to them. For the fragments, we already have our grenade sorted out with our exotics, so here we're just gonna focus on scorching the earth. First, we got Ember of Torches, which makes us radiant when we use our melee attack. This increases our sunshot damage, and then we use Ember of Empyrean to extend the radiance whenever we get kills, which shouldn't be hard since our sunshot is pretty much a nuke. Next, we use Ember of Singeing, which makes our class ability charge quicker when enemies are scorched, and whenever we scorch targets, we get our melee energy from Ember of Searing. I know I went over all of that really quickly, but I'm going to leave it on the screen right now so you could see each individual fragment that I used. I just wanted you to understand the synergy between why I used what and how they all work together to make a cohesive system. So we know our grenade's going to do a lot of damage, but we haven't talked about the weapon and how we can make that sunshot as lethal as possible. We discussed Radiant earlier from our melee. That's going to be able to make our weapon do 25% more damage than normal, and we can extend it with the fragments that we're using. We could also add to that and make it do 50% more damage by using mods. Let's talk about our mods and how we're going to take full advantage of all the wells that we're going to be using for this build. First one, to get that 50% more damage is going to be Font of Might. Picking up an elemental well that matches the weapon that you're going to be using increases the damage of that weapon. So we have Radiant, we have Font of Might, our sunshot is basically going to nuke that. Then we talked about healing earlier, and the mod we're going to use for that is called Well of Life, which gives you healing for 10 seconds after we pick up a solar well. Now, it's not like restoration times 2, but it's pretty comparable to the regular restoration. What it does is it continues to heal you even through damage, and you could pretty much have this on an infinite timer because it goes right up to 10 the moment you pick up another elemental well. And from this build, you're gonna see that we're making a lot of elemental wells at the same time, so we should never have a reason to not have this healing perk on us. For the last mod, we're gonna use one of my favorite mods, again, Melee Well Maker, to make even more wells, or you could also use elemental armament if you want your sunshot to be able to grant more wells. The difference between the two is for elemental armament, you're gonna have to wait for 3 kills to be able to get that elemental well, whereas if you use Melee Well Maker, once you kill one thing with that melee, you get your elemental wells instantly. We already make as much elemental wells as possible as is, but while we're in season 16, Season of the Reason, there is an artifact mod that you could use to take this build to a whole other level, and it's called Flame Harvesting. If you have an exotic solar weapon, it's gonna get you elemental wells after every 2 kills. We're gonna be making a lot of solar weapon kills in this build, so we might as well put that on for now and get even more elemental wells to drop. So what this means now is we have 4 different ways to make elemental wells, and we still have 2 different ways to use them to get more damage and to get healing. So that 3-to-2 ratio that I was talking about earlier, we're basically having 4-to-2 in this current season with this mod. So that's the build I got for you guys today. I mean, I already made a similar build to this before the season came out, but we didn't have access to Solar 3.0 yet, so it was just a bunch of guesswork. Putting it together and using it in this new season with adding healing ability from the mod just makes it so much fun. I can't wait for you guys to try it out and let me know what your experiences are with it. If you guys have any suggestions, like I always say, for builds of your own that you'd like for me to put on the channel, or you think that there's ways that this build could be even better, leave that in the comment section, or you can come by the stream on Twitch as well to hit me up and discuss some of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.